evening, everyone. My name is Nomfundo Makubo from the University of Johannesburg Community Engagement. Today, I have the honor of presenting to you Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman. Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman was born in Potchefstroom in the Northwest. He started his schooling in Potchefstroom but moved to Sastry College in Durban in 1978. He qualified as a medical doctor at the University of Natal Medical School in 1984. Sooliman gave up his career as a medical doctor to pursue a field in humanitarian aid, which for him transcends boundaries of race, religion, culture, and geography. Alongside his studies and his medical work throughout his life, Sooliman has been involved in several associations, religious organizations, and school governing bodies as a student, medical doctor, and an active member of civil society. In 1992, he founded the organization Gift of the Givers and has since delivered more than 160 million rand in a 13-year period to 22 countries, including South Africa. The organization is impartial and apolitical and aims to serve with compassion, kindness, and mercy. One of the notable gifts that he organized was the donation of a well-equipped field hospital during the first used during the Bosnian War. In 2003, his organization became the first in South African history to receive 60 million rand from the South African government for humanitarian aid in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. The Gift of the Givers Foundation is the largest disaster response non-governmental organization in Africa of African origin in the continent. In a 15-year period, the organization has developed into one of the most respected international humanitarian agencies, being first such agency to be accredited by Proudly South Africa. All of these things would not be possible without the dedication, energy, and leadership of Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman. May we please give him a round of applause.
Thank you for the introduction. It's great to see students come for lectures outside lecture time. I know it is very difficult for me to be at lectures during lecture time. Most of the time I was missing, and when I qualified at the end of 1984, all the students told me, you passed by correspondence, doing medical school by correspondence. So I must say it's great. I've just been taken for a tour of your library. It's great to see so many students making use of resources to learn, to gain knowledge, and to better yourselves. That kind of betterment is very valuable for the kind of work that we do. At the outset, I'd like to thank the University of Johannesburg, Theodora, Rukeya Bawa, and the students and everybody else responsible for putting up this event and for inviting me to come and speak on the book. Unfortunately, the author, at the last minute, something came up before he could take his flight and he couldn't come. But I will cover the points for him in the talk itself. The book tells the story of Gift of the Givers. But people ask, why a book? To be honest with you, I never wanted a book. I've been pursued for 23 years by authors, writers, well, not 23 years, after the first few years of the project itself, say more than about 15, 16 years ago. Authors came, they said, we will write the book for you, we will do everything for you, please write a book. And I said, no. And as the years went by, more and more people came and said, look, let's sit and write the book. And I said, no. And they said, why don't you want to write a book? I said, the problem is people may misunderstand. They will think it's an ego trip, it's something to highlight yourself and show the world what you've done. Although, of course, the media travels with us everywhere we go. And I said, all that years of work will be destroyed by the wrong perception of people. So they left me alone. And they carried on, again, a few years later coming back. Eventually I told them I'm ready to write the book at the age of 90. And they laughed at me and he said, you won't live so long. Last year, 2013, a lady called Louise Grantham, who has been pursuing me for quite some time, said, look, Dr. Suleiman, can we write the book? And I said, Louise, the answer is no. A few months later, she called me. She said, I'm coming to Maritzburg, can I come and see you? I said, fine, you can come and see me, it's no problem. Because I knew I'm going to tell her no. So she came to the office, she said, and she asked me, why don't you want to write the book? And I said, exactly what I told you. She said, but there's something important you're missing. And what she told me is what other people have also told me on numerous occasions. She said, if you're gone, who's going to know what happened? We need to document the work, the logistics, and the mechanism or the mechanics of Africa's largest disaster response agency. If that information dies with you, it's a real loss to the country and the continent. I thought about it. I knew she was saying the right thing. And then I tried to say, how can you find a middle way? I said, okay, you can write a book, but it's not a biography. It's about the organization. I said, second condition is, you don't talk to me, you don't interview me, and you don't call me. So she said, how can a person write a book like that? I said, we'll find a way. She got journalists who traveled with me, and I told her it won't work. Because with the difficult time with the print media, many journalists are really battling to do their work, double and triple jobs, so they won't manage. Eventually, she came back to me 3 months later, in 2014 February. This was November now when I met her. And she said, it's not coming right. I said, I know that. And then she said, can you suggest somebody else? And then she said, look, can you speak after I go to Cape Town? I said, you're going to Cape Town? Wait a minute, the bells are ringing. I know somebody in Cape Town who can help you. He has traveled with me on several missions. He understands cross-cultural issues. He's very level-headed. He's won award as Journalist of the Year many times. He writes very well, although he's a radio journalist. And he can verify everything from the research. And I will just cross-check it in the end. And he has written a book or two before. So he does have the experience. So she goes to Cape Town, meets Shafiq Morton, and the deal is signed on the spot. He said, this is a great opportunity for him to write. He knows everything, and he will research. To Shafiq's credit, he's not here. He wrote the whole book without interview, without calling me, without disturbing me. All he did, maybe on 4 occasions, was send one very polite SMS. Is this information correct? Is this figure right? Can you tell me this? I said, Shafiq, and I gave him the points. It was Ramadan last year. They were about to go to print. And I said, Louise, there's only one issue. I'm very particular if anything is done in the name of Gift of the Givers. So I'll have to read this book. To be honest with you, I don't know when last I've read the book, maybe 25 years. No time. So I said, I got to read this book, and within 24 hours I read the whole book finished. I found all the mistakes. There were not many, to his credit, but I realized you could add another 2 books to the information that he had, but then nobody would read it to become too big. So he did it. He did a fantastic job. I must say he captured all the elements well. And in the book itself, he puts you in the context. Earthquake in Haiti. What happened? So when you're reading it, you are in the earthquake. Then he talks of our response. What did we do as South Africans? And then the effect of our response as South Africans. Was it beneficial or not? So in other words, when you read the book, you know whether we're wasting our time and your money. So it gives you a good idea of what's going on. So this is basically the Shafiq's part of the talk. Now I come to my part of the talk. Gift of the Givers was founded on the 6th of August, 1992. I went by accident. You see, I belong to a spiritual order, a Sufi order. Sufism in the West, Sufism in Islam, where you have a spiritual teacher and you become a disciple of the teacher. I met him for the first time in 1991 in a very strange manner. An Afrikaner from South Africa told me about a religious spiritual teacher from the Muslim community in Turkey, in Istanbul. He was a lecturer in French, he learned Arabic, and he was a lecturer at Professor Bawas University, UKZN, early in the 90s. I listened to him and I went across to Turkey, met him for the first time. I was with my wife. We got there. His disciple from America took us around. And as we got to the place, I was majorly confused. Because when we got there, we found Christians, Hindus, Jews, Muslims, those who say they're atheists, leftists, righters, anything you call them, everybody was there in the Muslim holy place. Now, coming from an apartheid past, we were so prejudiced against each other, where religion and color was regarded as a big problem for us. And then coming out of the Gulf War of 1999, where the perception in the Muslim world was that East was against West, where Christianity and Judaism and the West was against Islam and Muslim. So you have that prejudice, and you come to a place and you would see Russians and you think, what are these all doing here? They bombed us in Afghanistan. You look at Americans, you say they bombed us in Iraq, why are they here? You look at Jews and they say they bombed us in Israel and Palestine, why are they here? And the Hindus and the Muslims are fighting around the Babri Mosque in India, and I was totally confused. I told my wife, I think we came to the wrong place. But why? It was not a reflection of the place. It was a reflection on me as a Muslim, because our world vision was very narrow. Not having the exposure of the real Islam, we didn't understand the scriptures properly. And the teacher looked at me, I was bewildered. And he said, my son, what do you see? I said, teacher, he wasn't my teacher yet, but out of respect, I called him teacher. I said, I am confused. He said, look again. I said, I see people of all religion and all colors from all parts of the world, those we have fought with and those we haven't fought with, here in the Muslim holy place. He says, my son, you're so right. Mankind is one single nation. The God of all mankind is one. The atrocious actions of few individuals does not taint an entire nation. So have an open mind. He says, no teacher, no preacher, no sheikh, no imam, no rabbi, whatever, no matter his external paraphernalia, no matter what book he's holding in his hand, if he preaches violence, extremism, terrorism, the taking of life, the killing of innocents, conflict and disorder, it doesn't matter what book he's holding and what he's wearing. He is not a man of God, don't follow him. Any person, if he shows love, mercy, kindness, compassion, and care for any human being, is a man of God, follow him. When I looked at that, I said, all these cobwebs have to come out, blinker visions have to go out, and you are transformed. I looked at him, I told my wife, I've fallen in love with this man. We went away, came back August 92. It's a long story why I got there. 6th August 1992. Thursday night, as you have hymns, and as you have meditation, and you have spiritual retreat in the different cultures, Buddhism, and Christianity, and Hinduism, in Islam we have what is called zikr. Zikr is the chanting of God's names in a certain combination of words of his name, or the different attributes he has. There was a zikr that took place. And soon after that, it was around 10 o'clock at night, the Sufi Sheikh looks at me. I can see him looking at me, but I can see his eyes are not in this world. It's connected somewhere else. And the words come out of his mouth in Turkish. You will form an organization. The name will be Gift of the Givers. You will serve all people of all colors, of all classes, of all religions, of any color, of any geographical location, and of any political association. And you will serve them unconditionally. You will not expect anything in return, not even a thank you. In fact, in what you are going to be doing for the rest of your life, expect to get a kick up your back. If you don't get a kick up your back, regard that as a bonus. This is an instruction for you for the rest of your life. Serve people with mercy, with kindness, with compassion, and with dignity. He said, remember the dignity of man is foremost. Don't ever forget the dignity of man. If somebody is down on the ground, don't push them further down. Take them and lift them up. A child is crying, wipe the tear of the child. Rub the head of an orphan. Say words of good counsel to a widow. Give food to the hungry, water to the thirsty. clothe the naked, and help human beings in whatever situation, of whatever culture, of whatever religion, anywhere in the world, unconditionally. This is an instruction for you for the rest of your life. Now go back home and look after your country and remember Africa. And remember, you can help anybody, anywhere in the world. But don't forget something very, very important. Whatever you do is done through you and not by you. So don't ever forget that. The moment the ego comes to your head, and that is why I did not want this book. Don't want people to think that I've done anything, because the kind of things that we've done is not humanly possible. There's always a spiritual hand taking care of you. I can give you thousands of incidents, but then the library will have to write a lot of books here. So this was the feeling. But there was something more special. This was not an ordinary NGO. This was a spiritual NGO. Linked to a spiritual teacher, and things come by inspiration. And the first challenging, or the first thought, or the first example of this was, he doesn't speak a word of English, and I don't speak a word of Turkish. But when he speaks, I understand everything that he says. And when he speaks, and when I speak, he understands everything that I say, and the other way around. And after this instruction, I've been to Turkey 21 times. And I asked him one day, I said, teacher, tell me, how come when you speak, I understand you? When all these other Turks speak, I don't understand what they're saying. He said, my son, it's the communication of the soul and the heart. When the soul and the heart connects with each other, we don't need the language of words. It is an internal connection that makes you understand everything. And really, I understand everything from the spiritual order. He told me in 1999, before he passed on, 38 days after I met him for the last time, he passed on. And he said, my son, after today, you will know what to do. Not knowing that I will not have a spiritual guide anymore to talk to and discuss things. But the strange thing about spirituality is that I find him more with me now than when he was alive. And in every way, you find a direction in what you are doing. And before I left, that's him. He gave me the statement in Arabic. He's a Turk. Khairun nas may yanfa'un nas. Best among people are those who benefit mankind. He said the emphasis is not on Muslim, not on Arab, not on Indian, not on black or white. It is on mankind, all of humanity, unconditionally. The first project I got involved in, immediately after I get out of that place, is the war in Bosnia. We're not even an organization yet. The first project we take on is a war, a crazy war in Europe. We're taking aid in August 1992, 31 containers of aid, food and all that kind of supplies. In November of the same year, this is Sarajevo, the University of Sarajevo is bombed to smithereens. In November of the same year, we're taking winter stuff. In Europe, in Sarajevo, in Bosnia, the chill factor in November and December can be minus 21 degrees. No roof, no door, no window, no jacket, no tents, no warm clothes, no heating, no food, no water, no medical supplies. You are infected, you got hypothermia, you are cold. So we took in 8 containers of blankets, tents, and warm supplies. It was at that point, in 1992 November, after the second trip, I realized I need to do something different. The teacher said, be the best at what you do. Not for ego issues, but because you're dealing with human life and you're dealing with suffering. And the best way to understand that is, if you were in a crisis situation, how would you want somebody to respond to you, your child, your mother, your father, your family? If you can honestly answer that question, then you would know how to respond to somebody in need in another part of the world or in your own country in a crisis situation. It was after that point I said we need to do something different. I was in Johannesburg and I saw at the Arms Corps Fair a theater, a sterilization unit, and an X-ray unit. And the thought came to me, not because I am clever, because the idea comes through you, not because of you. And the idea came, why don't we build a containerized mobile hospital? And I found the Afrikaner company in Pretoria. And the only reason I worked with an Afrikaner company is because I understood that mankind was one single nation. Had I been not been there, the prejudice would still have been there, the hurt would still have been there, because I was kicked out of my land. My street in Potchefstroom, we got nothing back for it. And up till today, we're still feeling the pain of being kicked out of that land. But you don't harbor hate. You learn from the past. You don't live in the past. Because hate only affects you and nobody else. So because meeting the teacher, I went to the company. And the company director came to my house. And I said, Johan, we need to build a containerized mobile hospital. He said, a whole hospital? I said, yes. We'll work out the design and we'll do it together. There's only one problem. I don't have the money to pay you. I'm not a business. I'm an NGO. You'll build the units and there's no guarantee I will be able to pay you. You will lose the money. He said, I look at you and I have faith. Let's both have faith in God. Afrikaner guy, Christian guy, white guy, coming to an Indian guy, Muslim guy, to help Muslims in another part of the world. Why did we have all this prejudice for all these years? I don't understand. We are human, work with human, together as human, and collectively we can do great things for this country and the continent. And I'll show you what we can do when we take prejudices away. So, he said, I believe that you will pay me, and if you don't pay me, it's from my side. And he goes, and I say, okay, let's do 3 units. By the grace of God Almighty, we built 28 state-of-the-art units of hospitals, each one self-sufficient, and 10 containers of backup supplies, and this is on the port of Trieste. That's the SAS Otadiqua. I went to the government, National Party government, not ANC, National Party government, and I said, Mandela is free now. We are talking to each other, I need a ship. While Mandela is still talking, I need a ship. I can't wait for the new government to come. Because people need help. You see, you can't be in the politics. When people are dying, they're not interested which political party came or which government came. They want help. If you're in that situation, it won't matter to you which government, which political party, as long as you can be saved. So, we took the ship, and they gave us the ship. And that's an ambulance on the ship. We took in the generator, because you are going to a war zone. There's no fuel. To get on, you have to take the supply and put it with the generator and hope it lasts for an extended period of time. And that's the units, heating units. Remember I told you minus 21 degrees? That's the theater. And that was me when I was very, very old in those days. Much younger now. That's Johan on that side, and this brother Koos on the other side. That's a fully fitted theater. The other view of the theater, sterilization, X-ray. If you go to an X-ray, you see they made the counts in the old days. Why? Because radium penetrates to human beings. How can you put an X-ray unit in a shipping container that's so thin that the radium will penetrate on the outside? So in the walls of the container, we built in lead so the radium can't penetrate on the outside. You can't build an X-ray room, machine or facility if you can't develop films. It's pointless. So in the back of the room, of the X-ray box, we put in a dark room. No point having a dark room if you can't develop, don't have X-ray film. So we sent in 30,000 X-ray films in the 10 containers of backup supplies. IV fluids, medicine, sutures, bandages, everything for the total package. Those of you who are doing community development, want to be in the NGOs, you've got to think of the idea thoroughly through the end, from the beginning to the end. What the hurdles will be, what the obstacles will be, what the logistics will be, what the end results will be. Just don't say, okay, I'm selling something without thinking. You have to be very, very clear about what you are doing. So that was the X-ray machine. Incubator unit, orthopedic unit, burns unit, dental unit, outpatient unit, admin unit, and the underground warehouse where we put the hospital. Now, in 2005, I was invited by the Bosnian government to come to Bosnia. They wanted to say thank you after 12 years. And remember, we didn't want to do this together, thank you. But they said if you don't come, we'll feel insulted. So I went. My wife and my kids were taken for the tour. We went back to Bosnia, to Mostar, where the hospital was put. And the guy who I put in charge of the hospital in 1903 was the same guy that was there. He said, my friend, remember you told me that in this theater, we can do everything besides open heart surgery. I says, yes, that's what I told you. He brings me a lady. He said, meet this lady. She had shrapnel in the heart. We took the shrapnel out of her heart in this theatre that you South Africans provided. And see these 4 children. They were born to her in this hospital after we removed the shackle from the heart. This hospital is a symbol of life, of improving the life of people, of improving, giving quality life, and of saving thousands of people and new life, many babies being born here. So go back and tell the people of South Africa that the people of Bosnia will never forget you. 1st February 1994, CNN filmed the hospital, and CNN commentator said, the South African containerized mobile hospital is equal to any of the best hospitals in Europe. 1994. Africa is regarded as the dark continent even today. We regard it as beggars. We don't believe in ourselves. We always believe things are better from the north. When are we going to believe in ourselves? In 1993, a product of South African technology, and by the way, no government, no agency, nobody in the world up till today, 23 years later, has matched this hospital or built anything like it. It was built by South African technology, and we did it ourselves. We designed it ourselves, we delivered it ourselves, and it went from Africa into Europe to save lives. And he was not comparing the mobile hospital to container hospitals in Europe, because there are no container hospitals in Europe. The next project, 26 December 2004, the tsunami hit 13 countries in the world. Everybody rushed to Indonesia, to Thailand, and countries in that part of the world. Nobody wanted to go to Sri Lanka, and nobody wanted to go to Africa. The northeast part of Africa, a place called Hafun on the Somali coast, was also affected. Sri Lanka was affected. The Sri Lankan president came on TV and said, we don't know how to respond. Within 48 hours, I had a team in Sri Lanka. We were the first agency in the world that responded to Sri Lanka, met the president, and within 5 days, partnering local people, we delivered 7 million rand worth of aid supplies in Sri Lanka. We were the first agency in the world given land by the Sri Lankan president, and we were the first agency in the world that put up a whole housing village in Sri Lanka. But my focus is Africa. I said, if we don't respond to Hafun, who's going to respond to Africa? We're going to go to Somalia. There is no organized government, no infrastructure, no systems. How do you get in? Where do you get in? Everything is destroyed in Hafun. We said, we have to go in. There's no option. We have to go in. We decided to take an Illusion 70. We fly our own planes. We hired this Russian aircraft, and as you can see, we all sit very comfortably in the back. Very relaxed. No seatbelt, nothing. But the problem is that this plane cannot land in Bosaso. The runway is too short. So what do? You fly to Uganda and you jump into an Antonov 12. It's a smaller plane that can land on the runway. So we empty all the goods from this big plane and put it into the small plane. But now there's another problem. You see in the big plane, you can sit in the back. Oxygen is controlled. In this plane, oxygen is not controlled. If we sit in the back, within 10 minutes, there'll be very many dead ones. We'll all die. So how do you solve the problem? Simple. You put the people with the pilot. Everybody sits under the pilot, around him, behind him, and above him. Some stand, some sit, and you do the project and you go. And then the Ethiopians, And in Ethiopia, I could tell your government that they did not allow us to fly through the airspace. So it took 3 extra hours via Kenya, and there's no bloody toilet on the plane. Any case, we landed in Bosaso, but before we landed, somebody made a miss with the calculations. This runway was shorter than what they told us also. Now we had to bring the plane down suddenly, but we planned for that also. I took Russian fighter pilots on the plane. So all I did is block the plane, boom, psh, planes dropped down on the ground like that. And all of us flew all over in the cockpit with no seat belts. But the plane just stopped at the end of the runway, and we got in. Exciting, but bloody dangerous. Now we still have to go to Hafun. We only got to Bosaso. Hafun is 400 kilometers away. There's no road. We take the truck, it takes 16 hours to get there. You get there, you have to wait for the sea to recede. You have to drive across the seabed. And when the sea recedes, you drive across the seabed and you get and you deliver your aid. And you have to come back the same way. We get there, all the boats are destroyed, all the fishing nets are destroyed. Over the last few years, we replaced the boats inside Hafun. It's health and gone. We took a medical team and we went. We asked, who's sick? All 2,000 patients came, people of the village came. I said, 2,000, all of you got affected? They came in the queue. It's funny. They haven't seen a doctor for years. The first lady came, what's your problem? I had a headache 3 years ago. They don't understand whether a headache can kill you, whether it's something dangerous. There's no information. You've got all information technology here. You're in the library, you can Google, you can check information on any disease. In that part of the world, the thing that kills you more physically than physically is emotional stress, because you don't know what to expect. Is a headache dangerous or is a headache something mild? You don't know that. So we have access to information, we have doctors with all our difficulties. We can be seen, we can be treated. So we are very, very fortunate. And so they all came, and it was all about just giving them comfort to say, don't worry, you're fine, nothing serious, you're okay. Just to give a good word of counsel, even if you didn't give them one tablet. Your good word, they had faith in you, they believed everything that you said, and they got healed on the spot. We decided to build a medical center. That medical center has been built by us in the middle of nowhere in Afun. 2005, I returned from Bosnia. Remember the trip I went? Via Turkey. In Turkey, I see the pictures on BBC of hungry kids in Africa. Starving kids, malnourished kids. I get to South Africa, I don't see much in the media. I work with the government, I told you, now I'm working with the ANC government. I speak to them, I said we need to go to Niger. They said we don't have an embassy there. So they tried through Senegal, Mauritania, it's taking too long. We said we're going to find our own system. Any plane that lands in any part of the world, you need to speak to the civil aviation in that country. So the private company we hired the plane from speaks to the civil aviation in Niger. I speak to the guy, I said, look, we got no embassy, we got no communication, the kids are dying in your country, I am coming blind. I'm just going to fly the plane and land in the country and we'll figure out what to do after that. So we fly. In the middle of the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, we land inside Niger. And this is early part of the morning, the events unfold afterwards. I get at 2 o'clock in the morning, this guy's name from the civil aviation, his name is Mukhtar. I said, where's Mukhtar? He comes running, me. I said, Mukhtar, we spoke on the phone, we've come from South Africa, we have no visas. My brother, this is Africa. Anything is possible. Takes He takes the passport, stamps it. I said, now we need a hotel. Don't worry, we got Intercontinental. Not the one you know. Very, very different. Then I said, we need a car. Come with a broken car, no window, no handle. We get in. But you know what? The love with which it is done. No limousine, no BMW, no Mercedes can compensate for the love with which they come and receive you in Africa because you're coming to serve them. We go to the hotel, it doesn't matter whether it's Intercontinental that we don't know. And I said, now my teams are hungry. 4 o'clock in the morning, the cooks came walking from the village to cook a meal which no 7-star hotel will do for you. And the teams ate and they were satisfied and happy for the reception they received in a poor country. And I said, Mukhtar, I have one more request. I need to talk to your president. He said, my brother, I told you this is Africa. The owner of the hotel is a friend of the president. Calls him on the phone, Mr. President, I'm here from South Africa. I need you to receive me officially. I don't mean you personally, but somebody from your department. I need trucks, I need laborers, I need minibuses, I need a warehouse, and I know. I want to tell you something important now. I want to know, not where I'm to go. You don't say, I will go in this area. I will do this. I have this team. We are very clever. We specialists, we come from Wits and UCT and Rao and here, there, the other way, everywhere, and UJ. We come from everywhere. No, you don't say that. You say, Mr. President, how would you like us to help you within your system? Where would you like us to help you? No arrogance, humility, and don't think you are better than anybody else. You are only better than them because you have opportunity. If they got the same opportunity like you, maybe they'll be better than you. So you can never be better than anybody else. Don't let that ever get to your head. And he says, my friend will be there in 3 hours. 2 hours, 45 minutes in Africa, they were there. The president's advisors, personal advisor, Minister of Social Development, for International Relations, and the Director General. He didn't send anybody small, he sent somebody big to receive us. Give us the trucks, give us the warehouses, and give us the minibuses. And as we're loading, and as we're going through, we see this. This is not a desert. This is a river. There was drought. That's the animals. And that's the people. We put the teams to work. 15,000 people came. But you know what was amazing? They don't have medical services. They can't afford it. They don't have food. They're suffering from famine. The locusts ate all the crops up. But not a single adult male came for treatment. No teenager came for treatment. Every mother did not bring any child over 7 for treatment. And every mother herself did not ask for treatment herself. And I'm trying to figure it out. How can this be possible? They have seen medical people. Why are they not asking? And then I realized 7 doctors are not going to solve this problem. Too many people. So I decided to do shortcut medicine. I went through the crowd and I patted the lady. I said, your child, fine, you can go. Sign language. The lady looked at me, gave me a big smile and walked away. I'm thinking, if I tried this in Bedaguada, somebody will slap me. But the lady just walked and went away. And I did it for several other people. And then we started pulling out the realistic ones. And as we were doing this, they started pointing from there. I said, go. Very happy, big smile, and they went away. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? In the evening, we sit together, the media people, the foreign affairs people, because I take government teams with me, media, medical teams, my all general staff, and we all have meals 10, 11 o'clock at night because we need to share information. Thulasizwe Simelane, he is journalist with ETV, he was with SABC at that time. He said, doctor, I need to say some report I need to give you in this meeting. I said, what's the report, Thulasizwe? He says, 3 children a day have been dying in this village that we've been to. I looked at him and said, Thulasizwe, thank you very much, you've given me the answer. He said, what answer? I said, you see, when we did this, why the people didn't come, first of all, what adults and teenagers and all the other ones, and why the mothers didn't ask? Because they knew we were limited in our numbers. They knew we were limited in our resources. So they did not want to waste our resources on unnecessary things. They decided we will forego the treatment so that you could save somebody else's life, that you could save somebody else's child. So we don't need to bring everybody else because we only want to save the ones that are very sick. And when you did this, you told them, you are giving life to my child. My child is not going to die. So why should I be taking up the space when in that time another child may die? This was the dignity of the people of Africa. They hadn't seen a doctor, they were starving, they needed medical care, but they gave up their place so that you could save somebody else's life. These are all valuable lessons you won't learn in the textbook. There's the medical teams to work. Gaza War 2009, we made arrangements within 24 hours. I'm going to go a little quickly, I'm going to get to the main one after this. We took teams and went across. There's a whole medical team. We took our supplies with us. We took an ambulance. We did trauma counseling. And we signed a memorandum of understanding with Gaza Medical School. And up till today, we still send medical teams to train, to transfer skills, and to help people inside Gaza. This man has now passed away. He was the Minister of Health, and last year, 3 weeks before the new onslaught started in July, he passed away. This is the big one. Haiti, 12 January 2000, and I'll stop at this one. 2010, Haiti, 12 January 2010, the earthquake hits 8.9 on the Richter scale. I get a call from Yusuf Abramji from 7:02, 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. He said, did you hear? There's an earthquake in Haiti. I said, Yusuf, I just got off a plane from Syria, so I haven't seen the news yet. He said, put the TV on. I look at the TV, I look at the pictures. I said, Yusuf, in what I'm seeing, in this space alone on TV, there's 30,000 people dead already. I've been doing this business for too long, I know. And more than 250,000 people died in that earthquake. He says, are you going to respond? 6:20, I tell him, Yusuf, the search and rescue teams are ready. And an hour later, the medical teams were ready. We were ready to respond to the earthquake in Haiti. This is nothing compared to what you really see. I can't put other kind of pictures here for non-medical people. The search and rescue team gets ready. We make how you can only fly via America or via Europe. Now flying to America is going to be a big problem, you see. Because the bigger the beard, the bigger the terrorist. And so it becomes a major, if I take a guy like Hashim Amla to America, they're going to send all of us back. So there's a big problem. So what do? And they're going to delay us. So I decided to speak to international relations. They speak to the French government. The French government said, no problem, come. We go to the Joburg consul. In 15 minutes, the whole team is issued with a Schengen visa. You try to get a Schengen visa in 15 minutes? 15 minutes. And they say on top of it, the most important thing, they say it's free. We Indians, we like free things. And then we go and get sorted out. And then I'm putting him on the plane and we're going to France. They said, okay, we'll book Air France because we show courtesy to the French government. I tell Air France, my friend, can you fly my team to Port-au-Prince in Haiti? They said, yes. I said, the airport will close. They said, the airport is open. I said, it will close. They said, it's open. I said, you will not fly my team to, you're not going to manage. They said, we will do it. I said, okay, give me a guarantee in writing. No airline in the world gives you a guarantee in writing. They gave me a guarantee in writing, they will get me to Port-au-Prince. And I knew they were going to be wrong. So, my guy gets on the plane. Whilst he's flying to Paris, I said, plan 2B, because he's not going to get to Port-au-Prince. I phoned the Catholic Society in Johannesburg. Why? Because now the teacher has taught me, you work with all religions, we are all humans. We don't have color, we don't have religion, we don't have class, we have blood, we have organs, and we have the same emotions and the same passions. So you phone the Catholic Society in Joburg and say, Mr. Catholic man, can you get me the Pope? The guy thought I was mad. I said, what do you mean? Don't somebody in the Catholic Society know the Pope? You see the Pope? You see we Muslims, we connected all over the world. We can do anything. Can't you guys do that? He said, give me 2 hours. Within 2 hours he gets the Pope. I said, what do you want? I said, tell him I want a Catholic Society to meet my team in the Dominican Republic. He said, done. Team lands in Paris. I'm waiting now by the phone. 6:30 the call comes. We got a problem. I said, I know you got a problem. You can't find a Port-au-Prince. He said, how did you know? I said, common sense. The earthquake took out all the buildings, took out the presidential parliament, took out the harbor, but he decided to wait outside the airport. How can that be possible? Everything is gone. They can't land in Port-au-Prince. I phoned Air France. They said, we can't do it. I said, check the email. You gave me guarantee. They said, but now what are you going to do? I said, I'm not crazy. Fly my teams to Dominican Republic. They said, that we can do. They get to Dominican Republic. Caritas and Catholic Relief Services, CRS, are waiting for big board. South African team, please come. Teams get off, go to the hotel, provide a minibus, water, food, arrange the visa, and they look after them in their camp inside Haiti. We were the only teams, and the Mexican teams were the only people outside the UN. We did not go with the UN. We do our own thing. While the UN teams only work for 3 hours, we worked 9 hours a day. Searched to the churches, to the Catholic schools. One school collapsed, 800 children died. So now we made a friend with a Mexican dog. My guys don't speak Spanish. So we got no dog, but we got special skills. We made friends with the Mexicans and we partnered them. We said, we need your dog. They came with us. On the morning of 20th January, I phoned Ahmed Bam, the head of my search and rescue team. I said, Ahmed, today you're going to find somebody alive. Why I said that, I don't know. Just something came inside my soul and I told him. As I'm talking to him, he says, hold on, I can't talk to you, I have to go. He goes. 45 minutes later, 8 days after the earthquake, the noise is coming from inside the rubble. They find somebody is alive. The search and rescue team goes in and we make world history. 64-year-old Anna Azizi, a lady in the Catholic Church, caught up in the rubble for 8 days, no oxygen, no food, injured hip, comes out by the South African team. And the South African team makes world history. Why? Because never in the history of the world has any team from Africa taken out anybody alive from the rubble in any earthquake anywhere in the world. And our team was the first in the world to do that. CNN was there, ITN, Channel 4, BBC, Sky. So believe in yourself, believe in Africa, believe in your skills, because we have humanity. We have Ubuntu. You see the colors? It's all different colors here. It's not one religion, one race. It's South Africans going with a spirit of purpose. Because the first thing this lady said to Ahmed Bam, my son, I love God. It doesn't matter what she calls him. We all believe in the same God. We just call him by different names. You instill hope and faith in somebody several thousand kilometers away. For the sake of saving this one person's life, I was prepared to spend 10 million rand because every cent was worth it. There's no price. All religion tells us to save one life, is to save all of mankind. And we achieved it on that day. And the second thing she said is, I love you. We took in the medical teams. The French and American teams said, we can't work here. Everything is destroyed. And the South African teams came forward, they said, leave it to us, the Burmaka plan. And they all went up and worked together. And they worked and they said, let's do it. There was no drill, they took a Black & Decker, the orthopedic guys. There was no weights for orthopedics. They took rocks and they weighed it in their hands and said, okay, we can use this. There was no splints, they cut bedsheet into strips and they used it. They said, we will save life. When you travel with me, my first instruction to the medical team is, you break all medical council rules. Because you go by gut feel. Don't say, I don't have CT scan, because your grandfather's time we didn't have CT scan. We don't have CR. You do what you do because you see the patients every bloody day in the hospital. Use your feeling. If you don't do something, definitely they're going to die. If you do something, maybe 10% they will live. So do something. So they all know they're going to do something. And they do it without machines. And the French and Americans, when they saw the South Africans working, they went around and they said, if you want to live, if you want to be healed, then go to the dream team. And the dream team is from South Africa. I'm going to skip, I'm going to go to the last one to pay a special tribute to special guests that I have here. 2013, we took a team, 12th April 2013, 15th April, we entered Syria illegally. We crossed the river and we got in illegally. And we announced it internationally. People thought me mad. I said, I don't follow international law. I follow God's law. World governments don't take long to make a decision to bomb people with drones and to kill them. Quickly. Break all United Nations resolutions. Don't follow the United Nations. Go alone to kill people. But to save people? No, you can't go. Very dangerous border. You don't have this rule, you don't have that rule. I'm not following one in any grandfather's rule. I will follow God's rule and I crossed the river illegally. We took the whole teams across into Syria. On this river, injured patients were taken across to Turkey. We find a building and I find a man before, I was there in October 2012. I went back in December 2012 and I met one doctor. His name is Dr. Ahmed Gandour. I asked him, Ahmed, have you got a building which we can convert into a hospital? He shows me a building that is built for an old age home. Nobody used it. Because in our culture, we don't put parents in old age homes. We have to look after them. You can't put them in an old age home. It's not allowed. So we find the building. I said, we will convert this building into a hospital. In 70 days, in a war zone where bombs are falling everywhere, where it's raining, where there's no artisans, where there are no people are dying every day, there's no infrastructure, there's no proper goods, there's no services, there's no factories, there's no industry. This man is treating patients on the one side. He's the architect, he's the builder, he's the engineer. He goes to Turkey, buys the stuff and comes back. In 70 days, he took that building and converted it into an emergency hospital. In a normal situation, with all the infrastructure and all the help, no person on earth can convert a building in 70 days into an emergency hospital. That's the grace of God Almighty. That's what we put in beds, incubator unit, pharmacy, laboratory, 70 days. And then the teams came. We served the people. I'm not going to go into the details. This was an emergency. A 9-year-old got shot in the heart by his own father. He was cleaning the gun and pointing it at his son because these are not fighters. The Syrian people, the real people who are of resistance are not fighters. They are ordinary civilians who have no idea about warfare. They are all farmers, agricultural students and agricultural people. They have no idea about warfare. And when you put a gun in the hand, I'm more scared of them than a soldier. Because they take an AK-47 and turn it around all over the direction. Bloody dangerous. And we had so many injuries because they shot themselves. And this man shot his own child. When we left, we said, we need to expand. This man is 74 years old. He was there on his wedding anniversary and on his birthday. There's no age limit. You're committed, you got energy, you're fit, you're dedicated, you can travel. That's a dentist, that's a wound specialist. After we left, we decided to expand the hospital. The hospital now is gone bigger downstairs. It's got a second floor. It's got a third floor. These are the inside. All this in the middle of a war zone where bombs are falling all over. We said we're going to take a chance and we're going to do it. But if we don't do it, people will have no hope. So give them hope. We put up the hospital. It has a dialysis unit, 4 theaters, ICU, incubator, gynae unit, maternity ward, everything a modern hospital requires. And we've got an extended building, a new building on the other side with CT scan, X-rays and everything. 10,000 patients a month from Aleppo, Latakia, Homs, everywhere. All over Syria, they come to the hospital. One man has dedicated 4 years of his life, 365 days a year, who serves the hospital without going out, sees all the, I can't show you the pictures, the traumatic type of cases with women, children, and the elderly, and he serves them 365 days a year, working 20 hours a day to serve people and to save lives. He's a cardiac surgeon, he's a general surgeon, the gynecologist, the pediatrician, the physician, the nurse, the laboratory technician, the pharmacist, the cleaner, the ambulance driver, the paramedic, all in one when we got there. And because he had no other medical support besides 2 people, and all the other medical support staff were agricultural students like you, studying science and agriculture, and he taught them how to put up drips, how to work in the theater, and how to help save the lives of people in that crisis situation. This man has worked for 4 years tirelessly, not only putting up the hospital, but supplying milk powder, putting up refugee camps, providing tents, food, setting up a school, education facilities, and doing everything possible for the needs of the patients. When he gets medicines, high blood pressure medicines or diabetic medicines, he knows which patient in which house number, in which state requires what tablet, and he delivers it himself. This man is here today. Ahmed, can you please stand up? He's come specifically to South Africa to thank the people of South Africa for what we've done for the people of Syria. Very humble man. He refused to get married at that time, because he said he can't give any time for a wife. All the time must be given to save the lives of Syrian people. He was in Aleppo, well respected, well loved. He was arrested. For what purpose? For saving the lives of ordinary civilians. And the Assad regime wanted to lock him up, and a lot of medical people have been killed by the Assad regime because you serve ordinary civilians. Within Assad's intelligence services, because they liked him, they wanted him to get out of Aleppo. He went to Darkush, the place that we are, his home place, his hometown, and he decided to serve the people of Darkush. You have people from all over coming there now. And the last thing we now have is a CT scan, so all neurological patients now come. It is the only functional CT scan in the whole of North Syria. And the hospital now, the South African hospital in North Syria, is the biggest and the best hospital in the entire region. Wow. Running in a war zone, South African skill, his passion, his commitment, our money, dedication and support of his team. He now has more than 25 skilled medical personnel in the team in the hospital.
Wonderful.
Sorry for the English, okay?
I'm so sorry. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, students, misses, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to thank the whole South African people community. I want to thank Gift of the Givers. It's difficult to describe my emotions in few words. When I stand here, what I say, is it true? Is it true? Mercy for all. Thanks, South African. Thanks, Gift of the Givers. I'm so sorry, I can't continue.
Very passionate, very soft, and does everything to save life. And he shows that he's got horrendous pictures. He's got every single case documented. He's even got patients who have been burned with chemical weapons. Everything listed. You take them to human rights court, they stand no chance. Everything is of this, most of what I've told you today is covered in that book. Plus all the South African projects and a whole more detail on so many other projects. Thank you very much for taking the time to come. Thank you for being here. I've taken a little extra time, but it's not about the book. I really don't care about the book, to be honest with you. It's about what South Africans do, because Gift of the Givers is not about me. It's about the medical teams and the South African people and the government and the media and all of you that support disaster teams that go in other parts of the world to save life. Because if those medical teams didn't come, even though the bombs are falling, the volunteer numbers start increasing. They want to go to that war zone to save life. It tells you something about the quality and character of the people of South Africa. This book is not about Gift of the Givers. It's actually an extension of the South African Ubuntu spirit. Thank you very much.
May we please have another round of applause? There is a quote on page 80 that says that the operations were serious, and I can tell you that our South African doctors were doing much more than just putting plasters on people. And for me, sitting down there, something comes to me that what has happened here today has been somehow a putting of plasters on our souls and our hearts, that it's not even that it's not that we don't have, it's not that we're not enough, but that it's a healing in a way to say to us that we are enough and that whatever we have can mean something to someone somewhere, and that we should take the risk and be brave and bold enough to give it to the world, because it's something that we have as a message, as a parcel for someone out there who needs it most, even if it's a smile or whatever it is. We're going to open the floor right now for questions, and we have a question and answer session, and we'd like for everyone to just engage and just ask any question or make any comment that you feel is relevant at this point in time. Thank you. Do we have any questions? May I start by asking a question? Okay. The question I would like to ask you, Dr. Suleiman, is that what is the difference in you that makes you different from all of us, that gives you, the one thing that gives you so much guts to actually, when you see something and you feel a person's pain, that you actually stand up and fly over the world to actually go and help someone? What is that one thing that you would share, that you would like to leave with all of us here?
I'm not the only one. All South Africans have that kind of passion. They just need somebody to guide them. Of course, it's a spiritual link. You are shown what to do. I'm not clever. It's something that's shown what to do. But the thing that drives me, one day, it was in the middle of the, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and my 5th child, I spoiled all my children, they should sleep on my chest. The 5th one, in the middle of the night, says, I want mom. You know, kids say, we want food. And I take her downstairs. She never wants her mother to take, I must take her. I take her downstairs, I open the cupboard, I open the fridge. It was at that point that I realized that we can choose any of one of 6 different cereals. We have a fridge full of food. We can choose any type of food for a child to eat in a house with air conditioners, with bed, with hot water, with all the amenities for general happy living. And I said to myself, how fortunate we are. The areas I go to, mothers don't even have milk in their breast to feed the child. In Somalia, they walked 400 kilometers in a state of famine. And as they were walking, they were leaving the children behind to die because they were too tired to carry them, or they had no energy. Or they left the father behind, or they left somebody behind. And by the time they got to Mogadishu, out of a family of 6, 4 children had already died. And nobody buried them because they were too hungry. And when you look at that, you say, you know what? We must be grateful. So when I see that pain and suffering, I said it is my service of gratitude because my child, my wife, my family, and my people are not in that situation. So I'm driven by that fact that we are not on the situation on the other side. Because had I been on the other side, I would want somebody to respond the way we respond to other people.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any more questions?
Dr. Suleiman, you say you do not follow laws, country laws, when you want to save lives, which just boils down to one important thing that our government always says, not just our government, many governments all over the world, they say they do not negotiate with terrorists. And recently we had the incident of Mr. Pierre Gorky, may his soul rest in peace. And it just happened to be such a bad situation because when the US troops went in there, he got killed when he was about to get released. And it was unfortunate because had governments been in connection with each other, maybe things would have been different then. So my question to you is it the right thing for the governments to say their policy is not to negotiate with terrorists? Because I understand that had they taken the initiative to negotiate with terrorists, especially in captivity situations, maybe things would be different. Maybe things would have been different with Mr. Koki. What do you think?
I'll put it another way around. I tell governments, you tell families of captives, of those in captivity, that leave it to us. We will do what we can. And I ask them directly, you're giving the families false hope. Because you're telling them, leave it to us, but at the same time you say, you don't negotiate with terrorists. So if you're not going to negotiate with terrorists, who's going to talk to them? What hope is there for the family? Because you're not going to do anything. You say you don't pay ransom, I understand that. So everybody says don't negotiate with terrorists. So I said, let's phrase it differently. I'm Dr. Suleiman, I'm a doctor, I'm a father, I'm a husband. I'm now the Minister of International Relations also, right? Let's say that. My wife gets captured, my sons gets captured. As a Minister of International Relations, I say, am I going to say, we don't negotiate with terrorists, it's fine, kill my wife and my son. Or is the human spirit going to come and say, you know what, I'm after all still a father and a husband. I want my wife and I want my child. Who can answer that question honestly will understand you have to negotiate, you got no choice. I was on CNN with Christian Amanpour, and a Navy SEAL was in the program with me. And when I mentioned the point about if you're in this kind of predicament, what do you do? The American Navy SEAL said, we have to sit and we have to negotiate. You have no choice. At the end of the day, it's not only about negotiation. We need to go back to the root cause of what's causing the hostage taking. And we have to understand why this is happening. It's not only about talking to the people who take the family people hostage, but you have to know why they keep doing this. Yes, one is for money, but two is anger. Because you've invaded their lands. You've killed innocent people. You've used drones to harm people, and you go away without giving any apology. You have an arrogant attitude. What do you expect? People will become hardened. And that's what's going to happen. So you need to change your thinking and your attitude to prevent this from taking place. And when I spoke to Al-Qaeda, they said, my friend, in the media they all say they don't talk to terrorists. But can I tell you something? They all talk to us. They all say they don't pay any money. But can I tell you something? They all pay us money under the table. How do you think the hostages get back home? Wow, it's clear. Mike.
Yes, the work that you do is just unbelievable. My question to you is, as a country, there's so much work to do here. Is there any second arm of Gift of the Givers that focuses only on our country?
We have 21 categories of projects. One category is international disaster. 20 other categories of projects are inside South Africa. Our projects in South Africa are huge. They go 90, 100, 120 million a year. Yeah. We have a big bursary scheme. Those are students. In 1997, we started off the bursary scheme. It's all in the book also, by the way. We started the bursary scheme, but for 20,000 rand. In the last 3 years, it's reached 5 to 6 million rand a year. We have our counseling service, life skills, education support, entrepreneurship, sports development, local disasters, medical support for hospitals. We have garden projects, bead making projects, primary healthcare clinics, a whole range of things, giving wheelchair distribution, feeding schemes that we do even on this university, food parcel programs, winter warm, distribution of hygiene packs, and a whole range of other things. One of the most unique projects we've come up with is 3 years ago. We call it Jumpstart. It's an entrepreneurship program that we direct at school children in grade 11 and grade 10. They come with a business idea, it goes through a committee, a decision is made, and the best 10 ideas in that school win the package. The package is this. You come, for example, and say, I sell chips. 50 people sell chips. What makes you better than the others? If we give you a brand identity. So we take these businesses, we give you a professional marketing company that gives you a 4-page website, gives you a business card, gives you a letterhead, gives you a logo, a brand identity, gives you an invoice book, gives you all these kind of banners, and gives you 24 hours business support unit, plus a cell phone and airtime. And we put you into business from simple things, and we develop and help you grow. And my company that I work for, they said, what is your aim? I said, don't look big, look small. You see a black child coming from a rural area who's got no money. If through this business he can make 50 rand a week, he's got 200 rand a month, which he didn't have last month. Which means he can buy bread and he can do other things. And we've put 450 kids into business in 2.5 years. Some kids in grade 11 are earning 15,000 rand a month. This is the strength of this project, and it's developing. I've invested already 10 million rand in this project. And we keep fine-tuning it and making it better and better and better all the time. That's one of the projects. You can read about it in the book.
Awesome. I have to ask a related question. Forgive me. We need 10 million for our library.
I get my marketing company to market it for you.
We need 10 million for our library at UJ. We really need 10 million.
We'll have to help you market it.
Thank you very much. My name is Ernest, and my question is quite brief. How do we get to institutionalize values such as Ubuntu? Because I was having a few conversations with my friends, and we're saying Ubuntu does not exist, especially in South Africa. It's a concept, but we don't live it. Not most of us, but some people do live it. Now, how do we get to institutionalize that so that when we reach out to other people, they are able to welcome us? And there's an issue of stigma when it comes to receiving from others. How do we make sure that in the midst of trying to give out our time and trying to give out to others, we don't offend them or we don't treat them as inferior people as to us? Because I see that more frequently. That's why many people, we are afraid to reach out in order to get. So how do we get to deal with the issue of avoiding to let people have that stigma? When I'm receiving something, I'm less inferior to those who have. Thank you.
I don't think the Ubuntu spirit is dead in this country. It's there all over the rural areas. I think a lot of us have lost it when we came into the cities. And I'm talking about the young generation. Me, I'm very frank and I'm very blunt. We've forgotten, we came to the city, we wanted to buy the car even before we qualified. We wanted expensive lifestyle, and we forgot who helped us the most. You forgot your grandparent and the pension and the old person who did everything to put you where you are today. I'm not saying all of you do it, but that's a crisis among all the youth from all race groups. That's a serious problem. If you go into the rural area, you will see how they will share, you will see how they will give each other. When they have food, they give each other. You know you're from the culture, you know what it is. I'll give you a classical example in Orange Farm. Orange Farm kids go to school barefoot. They don't have school uniform, they don't have a winter jersey, they don't have food, they don't have a lunchbox. When the crisis in Somalia came, 2011, I went through the pictures quickly, the children in Orange Farm gave us 40,000 rand. That's the spirit of Ubuntu in an area of Orange Farm. Yeah. When the Marikana crisis came for the food parcels, the people, the students from this university and all over said, we don't have much, but we made a collection in this university. You guys got together and gave. You said, we don't have much. Yes, you don't have much. It's true. Because if you understand students properly and research, you get tuition fee, you get residence fee, you get textbooks, you get transport, everything is paid for. But you come in the class and you collapse from hunger. There's a big problem in this university and in every university in South Africa. So it's not that you don't want to give. Yes, you give what you can give. And people say, look, I don't have much. Will you accept 2 rand? For a person who's got no money, 200 is 100% of what he has in his pocket. So the spirit of Ubuntu is very alive. There's a student in one of the schools who was one of our candidates in entrepreneurship. He got the entrepreneurship program, but he wants to teach maths for free. He doesn't want the money. He said, I want to skill people up with maths because I have the skill. I want to give tuition. I'll make money some other way. But I will give the children in the townships in Amlazi and everywhere else tuition for free because I have the skill. I want to see them grow. That kind of spirit exists all over in South Africa. But from forums like this, from meeting people who give that kind of skill, from your reading and from getting involved in the township directly, you will get that spirit. Because many people who came on my team haven't come before. And when they come back, the first thing they tell you is, we need to be very grateful. And secondly, they tell you, this is a life-changing experience. One media lady came with me, a journalist. Her mother and father said, she is very spoilt. She comes from the lap of luxury. Please take her with you. She came back, a whole concept of living changed, about identifying with poor people and the hardship and the difficulty. The second question is very important about the dignity of people. Your approach and your attitude, as I told you in Niger, I'm not the boss. I'm not too clever. How you do it is very important. It can be a stigma, for example, in the university in UKZN, University of Natal, when the kids were about to get food parcels. And the most harsh critics are students and children. You know in school how you tease each other? Oh, you went to the school lunch queue because you got no money in your house. Kids do that. So you have to do it in a very discreet manner. We have to find a way of getting students to come collect a food parcel without anybody knowing why we're giving them a food parcel. So you have to assess the situation, and when you make people understand that this is a need. See, a lot of people say, this is an aside now, they say a food parcel is a handout. But in our situation, it's a handout that saves lives. We need to understand that. In 2002, when we had the World Summit on Sustainable Development right here in Johannesburg, in Nasrec, in Sandton, and we had another area, Gallagher Estate, when we had that summit, the same time, 168 children died of starvation in Eastern Cape in Mount Freer. How can 168 children die in a country that's got gold and diamonds and platinum and every kind of items? Why did they die? And we went in with food parcels because it was life-saving. But to answer your question, it's the way you do it. Discreetly, where it's required, with humility, and don't show yourself that you are better than anybody else.
Afternoon, Dr. Suleiman. Just coming back home, I know you featured briefly, maybe briefly might be an insult for the gift of the givers. I know you featured at the Marikana disaster. Can you touch on that? How much help and assistance did you really occupy on the site? And the second question, I heard you revealing that you, when I'm saying you, I'm not referring to yourself as a person. You work with the ANC government. What I would like to hear is the support that you are getting from the corporate private sector. Because obviously within the ANC government, like you mentioned, there are citizens and so on and so on and so on. But the corporate sector is a place where most of the funds, according to our perception, would come from. So do you really get support from that side?
Let me do the second part first. When I said I work with the ANC government, the principle I was making is that I work with any government. I worked with the National Party before, I went with the ANC now, and where was the next I will work with them. That was the point. But at the same time, extend on what you said, I have a very good relationship with government. In most of the international missions, they partner with me. So sometimes they would provide the plane, and sometimes we would provide the plane. And sometimes, like for example, they wanted to go to South Sudan in 2004. So 2006, sorry. And they said, how can you help us? I told them what they need to do. I said, provide the plane, we will fill it. And that's what we did. And we went to, in 2002, we went to Goma, DRC, when they had the volcano. They provided the plane again, and we filled it. So we have a relationship. The corporates don't give much to us. Maybe they give other places. But that is slowly changing. As people are seeing what we're doing, more and more corporates are coming on board. But by far and large, the biggest contribution to us is from ordinary South Africans, from across the board in volumes. But to be fair to the corporates, more and more of them are coming as they understand what we're doing and they understand our local projects more and more. And the Marikana one, of course, we waited from February 2014. And we kept on saying, next week, it'll get sorted out. Yes, we're having a breakthrough. No, we're not having a breakthrough. And we thought sooner or later, it'll get sorted out. Until one Sunday in May, I got a call from a guy called Riyad Desai, who's also known to this university. And his voice told me everything. We are desperate. It was a Sunday afternoon. Where's Emily? Emily, you here? Emily is my project manager, one of my project managers in Johannesburg. It was a Sunday afternoon. She was busy on some distribution somewhere else. I said, Emily, I can hear the desperation in their voice. Load the trucks right now. She supervised the loading of the trucks at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and got to Marikana when it was dark. To give aid to the people. To the credit of the Marikana people, they said, my friend, we don't know what elements are among us. We don't want you to do a distribution at night. We fear for your safety. Not that any of us are going to harm you, but in this kind of situation, you have people who cause conflict for the sake of creating conflict to give us a bad name. So please don't do it. Will you come back tomorrow? Will you really come back tomorrow? So Emily phones me. I said, go away. We will come back tomorrow. The same thing I told the man. We will keep a promise. We will keep it. And the next morning we went, and they stood in the queues, disciplined. I've never seen hunger like that on the mines. Lambile, lambile. As the biscuit was put in the pan, they kissed it. Each packet of biscuit, they kissed it like you put gold and platinum in their hands because they were starving. And what were we saying on the outside? They are lazy people. They just want to strike. Yet they take a job and they don't work. And the corpus were very, very unhappy. And I went for the jugular. Will you work for 7,000 in a month, going 3 kilometers under the ground for all these years? But you forget the bigger picture. You live in a shack, which you pay for. You look after a family on the mine and outside the mine. At the age of 40, you are finished because you've got asbestosis, silicosis, and TB. A soccer player gets how much? 50,000 to 200,000 pounds a week for what? Just kicking a ball aimlessly. You go under the mine in the ground and you get 7,000 in a month, and at the age of 40 you are finished. You have no investment because all your money is paid. The black kids from here, you check, I'm saying black deliberately, not that the white people were against it. But the youth called me and said, my great-grandfather made no progress. My grandfather made no progress. My father will make no progress. And if I'm in the mine, I will make no progress. Thank you very much for standing up for the people. I got attacked. People call me, we will not support you anymore, we'll stop giving you money. My answer to them was, go to hell. I'm blunt, I feel like I don't give tools for anybody. I'll turn your money down and give you $1 million and back. That's how we are. Because my teacher said, people will look for you and bring the money to you. I don't look for money. It comes on its own. People see what we do. And you cannot sacrifice the human. What made my blood pressure go beyond 230? When somebody called me and said, why are you intervening now? And he said, he said, Lutuli House is saying this, which is not true. As the president said, people use name dropping. It's true. I've experienced it. The big man is saying, why are you getting involved in Marikana? I said, the big man knows my number. Why doesn't he call me himself? To tell me that himself. Is he saying this or is one of you saying this? He's saying, leave them alone. And we are saying, you see, we are getting very close to a deal. If you let the women and children starve a little longer, they will make the husbands go back to work. Using food as a weapon for economic benefit. So you can use pressure and oppression on a nation that can't do anything. And give up. I said, of what you said, I will now double the intensity and put more food parcels in Marikana, and I will say the big man and the deputy, anybody in this country stop me. But I said, I told you, it's not the big man saying this. There's somebody among you who've got your own agenda. And we increased it, and to answer your question, we reached 70,000 families of the mine workers.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.